right. Good morning, everybody. We want to thank you for being here with us on a Friday morning, bright and early. I know it's the last day of our conference, and I don't know about you guys, but I'm feeling the conference fatigue even in a virtual setting. So we really appreciate your participation this morning. There's a lot of great things to be shared today. We're gonna, start right on time so we can make sure we have as much time as possible to cover everything that you've joined to hear today. And I did want to throw out a quick disclaimer. We did get a request for closed captioning. We have not noticed the person who's supposed to help us with that come into the session yet. So please, share in the chat if you are that person. Otherwise, we will get with the Institute organization as soon as the session is over and make sure that closed captioning can be available. So we apologize about that, but that is all I have to say. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't introduce myself. My name is Sydney Tate, and I'm your room host today. So I'm going to pass it off to Pam Sieffert now.
Thanks, Sydney. Welcome, everybody. Like Sydney said, we're really happy to have you guys here Friday morning, last day of Institute. Real quick, just to reiterate, we were supposed to have closed captioning. Sydney, you may want to enter that into chat as well, just in case. But this is recording. We'll work with the CTE Institute team to provide closed captioning to the recording if needed. But like I said, Sydney is going to serve as our room host, kind of like in an MC position. We have a lot going on in this presentation. There's very few slides, so that's a great change of pace. But we are taking on a content session and are going to try to make it as network-like as possible, because we have a new tool, we have a new map app for Tennessee Pathways, and we really want people to have an opportunity to see what it is and play around with it as much as possible. It will be published in mid-August onto our website, but I really wanted to give a huge shout out to Danny Satterfield. If you guys joined us yesterday in our employer engagement assessment tool session, you will have gotten the sense that Danny is very data savvy, and it is completely this project, this idea, and the start of it has really come from Danny. So give a huge shout out to him. He's going to be leading quite a bit of this session and walking us through some of the different capacities that the map can do. And Danny also has full control of the screen, just so we're not switching back and forth between slide decks. We also have a few objectives for this session to give you guys, at least some sense of where we're going. We do want to review and dissect the data functionality, where we pulled the data from, what it looks like, essentially how much time we've really spent into massaging the data to turn it into a visual product for everyone. We also want to explore the map through multiple lenses. We have two listed here, but we are, like I said, we want you guys to shout out, opportunities, things that you want to look at. But we do want to show what it would look like potentially from a student and family lens, but also the lens of a potential industry partner. And we also want to discuss some long-range outcomes that will come after releasing this map and what it may look like in the future. And Danny, if you want to flip forward, Sydney's going to jump in here. We want you guys to use the chat feature quite a bit today. And so this is kind of a test. We know that I see a lot of people are already interacting in the chat, which is really great. But if you want to share a little bit more about yourself, we tried to do this yesterday in a poll everywhere poll. Didn't work out too well. So we're going to keep it strictly in the chat feature today. So if you feel like sharing a little bit more about who you are and what you're doing, why you're interested in being here, please do that in chat. And this is also a great place to say, if you want to speak as we're looking at the map, after we've gone through a couple of scenarios and you have a specific question or something that you want to see, use the raise your hand feature. Both Sydney and myself are going to try to monitor that as best as possible, while Danny actually handles the map and the functions of the map for us. So that's a few housekeeping things, but we're excited to learn who's here. I'll give you guys a couple of minutes if you want to share.
Pam, it looks like you said we've already had a lot of interaction this morning. I know that we've got, let's see, Roane County Schools, Shelby County Schools, someone from Pulaski, Tennessee, Anderson County, Memphis, Lincoln County, Lake County, Scott County. I think we've pretty much got the whole state of Tennessee covered already, just in our morning chat. So
We
again,
did have a lot of interest, which is great. I think we had over 200 people at least put this on their agenda, if I am understanding the Institute correctly. So there's a lot of people here. Wouldn't have fit in a network session, so we're really excited to have all of you guys here.
absolutely, thank you. So, it looks like we've got representatives from not just secondary, but post-secondary. And I see someone from like our East Core office. Thank you again, guys, for supporting us. And like Pam said, Danny doesn't take the credit that he deserves, but he's a rock star data guru, and he's really done a great job at pulling some cool tools together for the Pathways team to share.
All right. You guys keep adding things into the chat and we'll keep moving along through these slides and get to the map as quick as we can. So like we've said, please feel free, ask us questions, get in that chat box, raise your hand. The general questions will probably be better put in chat so we can all see who's asking similar questions to what we're thinking. When we get to the map, for specific questions that you may have as far as the functionality or for your district or region or industry, use the raise your hand option. Sydney or myself will open the call dialogue, and then we can go through that process. And just to give another shout out to Tennessee Pathways and where we live, where we operate, and a reminder of our pillars. We have these 3 pillars as the core of our work and what we are doing. So advisement, early college and career experiences, cross-sector alignment. We believe that these 3 pillars are essential to a quality pathway and are essential for a quality student experience. And specifically within using this map, we look at the cross-sector alignment piece because we're visualizing all the partners in Tennessee through this map that are interacting with certified pathways. And Danny, if you want to go ahead and flip, I think we can go right into the map at this point. There's a lot to show here. Just a reminder, this will be published on our Tennessee Pathways webpage mid-August. We have a few more things to finalize in the map and then publish it. The good thing is that we can continue making changes to the map, making modifications as we need to and as it's living on our website. And so as we're using this, as we go through the next Tennessee Pathways iteration, that map will change in real time and you may see changes day to day or within the same day if you look at this quite a bit. I will turn it over to Danny and let him dig into this with you guys.
All right, thank you. I will say real quick that the microphone has been tending to break up a little bit, so if you can do that, you need me to repeat something, please do so. Send it in the chat. Send me in the Feel free to interrupt me anytime with your hand raised or anything like that. But as Pam said, this is the interactive map that we've all been working on as a team and working with Kim and Winchester. This state where he works with our business. I want to give a shout out to him for putting up with our shenanigans and different things, but he's been awesome. But the default when you first pull it up is going to be this. And I just kind of wanted to go over an overview real quick of what it is and then run through a couple of scenarios just to give you a sense of how the map will work. and then how we've been able to take the data that we got from the first round of applications for Tennessee Pathways and really try to put it into a digestible form. As anybody that's ever worked with data on that level, you know that there's a lot, and sometimes it can get confusing when it's all in thousands of numbers. You know, I used to joke as a teacher, if I handed my students a sheet full of numbers, they'd hand it back with some rude comments, but adults are the same way. So really we wanted to make sure to get it in a way that is digestible, that this data can be used on improving our schools, our state, our economic stats across the state, and just, you know, our relationships and partnerships. So to do that, your first default here is going to be the certified pathways in the districts and the high schools that have those certified pathways. And the easiest thing to do when you come on, I guess I won't say the easiest, but the quickest thing that most people do is just browse. And you can do that. You can quickly find the functionality of it. If you want to click on a district, I'll come down here and click on McMinn County, and you can see as far as the district information, it tells you the district, the high schools that are in that district with certified pathways, the region, and importantly, the regional coordinator. In this case, you can see McMinn County's regional coordinator is Sidney Baker. And that's going to be really important here in a little bit on the functionality of the map and moving forward with it. Additionally, you can click on a high school within it, and it's going to bring up the school with some information. So you can browse just wherever you want to, and we'll get to some specific details here in a minute. But this is really looking, if you look at the pop-up window, it tells you a lot of really rich data information that can help guide you in what's going on in that particular high-quality certified pathway, who their partners are, and some other information. So here you can see that we're looking at the pathways mechatronics, again, the region, but you can see that it's from a career cluster advanced manufacturing, and it tells you the post-secondary partners that this school and district are working with within that pathway, and then also, very important, the industry partners that are currently working with it. There is a little bit about the economic status of that district and county, which is very important information because it lets us know, and others as well, how some of our districts are faring in different economic status, such as at risk or distressed, and that's always good information. And then the final piece here, it'll tell you a little bit about what level of certification that pathway received through the application process. And in mechatronics, you see this is an advanced pathway, which is the highest that you can get through our certification. But that's just a real quick browsing of it. To really get to the power of the map, we have some very specific and very powerful filters that are brought up in here that we really wanted to keep our audience member in mind through various stakeholders, how they might use it and what could have been some of the most important things that they might look for. So that's why I wanted to run through real quickly a couple scenarios for you all so that you can see how people might use it. And obviously, I can't show everything that the tool can do because we just don't have enough time. I mean, we've talked about this from yesterday, and even today, you know, we could spend a few hours on this map really just showing all the functionality of it. However, in a 45-minute session, we really wanted to limit it to just show you some of the minimal functions of it to get you acquainted to it and get you normed to it and see what so the first scenario is Pam mentioned in her.
Can you, real quick, can you just show what the layers can do?
Yes, absolutely. So to Pam's point here, if you want to see different things, if you click on this layers button in the top right hand corner, you can see that the certified pathways, the districts, and the counties aren't the only thing. We have other information that is very important. So if you want to see participation by district, if you click on that particular layer.
And this is participation by districts who participated in the process, the overall process. The red districts are those that were certified.
And one quick disclaimer to this, as far as information is, you can see that these counties and districts did participate, but there's no data in particular on it. It's just showing that they did participate. The focus of the map was really to look at those certified pathways and the data that's within them. However, you can see, get a sense of who's participating across the state and where some developing pathways are. And there's a lot of great work in these districts as well. It's just a couple things. Sometimes it was down to maybe a partner or something like that. There are some good ones there, but the data isn't going to happen. Other things that you can look at is Tennessee high schools. So if you click on that, this will pull up a geocoding of all the high schools across the state that you can click on and find out information. In particular, in the pop-up, it gives you the address of it in case you needed to look it up, look at other things for them, but also the region and that regional coordinator. You can see this is Oneida High School, and I'm the regional coordinator for the East, in particular, this school. Another thing that's really cool, if you click on it, you can get a look at all the post-secondary institution by location across the state. This is really good just to get a sense of where these are located and how closely they are located to pathways or counties. And you can click on any one of these and it gives you the same thing. It gives you the title, the address of that campus, and a little bit of information about it, just so you can get a good idea of where these things are. That feel free to play around with that. Each one of these filters are there. So our stakeholders, our various stakeholders can, in fact, come in and kind of get a quick view of what's really important to them and how they might be able to use the tool in that regard. For this demonstration, I'm going to continue using the certified pathways by high school, the district's certified pathways, and then you can toggle off the state as far as the counties. I will leave it on just because it's one of my preferences. I love maps, and the reason I love them is because I'm spatially challenged, and that really helps me know where I'm at in the world and kind of relation to what I'm talking about. So the first one scenario that I'm going to go through, and I'm going to try to do this fairly quick on these two so we can open up to you guys and let you give some scenarios and stuff. We're going to look at how a parent or a student might use this. The very first thing, if I was a parent or student, is I would go to the district that you may want to be looking at for that area or that you're interested in. In this case, I'm going to choose Cleveland. And you'll notice immediately that when you filter down to that individual district that it does, in fact, react. The map reacts to the filter. If this is a multiple select too, so I can compare that to another county. Say I want to bring in Bradley County, and you can see that I can, in fact, do a multiple select. So for in this case, if I was a parent, I was going to look at all the schools in this particular county around Cleveland. I can just leave it here, and I've multiply selected these. And then I want to see what pathways that they have to offer. The easiest thing to do is really just click on the pathway. Just like the map reacts to the filter, so does the other filters. So in Cleveland and Bradley County school districts, you see that we have 4 pathways that are offered: diagnostic service, mechatronics, nursing services, and therapeutic services. I can leave them all up, or I can simply click on one or multiple of these So I want to look at diagnostic services and therapeutic services. And you can see that this is in fact in Cleveland. So there's two things I can do for information here. Click on the district and get the information that I saw before, or I can click on the high school and you can see now that it has brought up these three things that I can kind of filter through to show you those particular pathways and the information that are in them. And one important thing I want to point out is these early post-secondary enrollment opportunities. That's really good to know on what are they offering within the pathway. So as a parent or student, if I'm interested in getting into the health sciences and particular diagnostic services, not only can I see that they have post-secondary partners already with at Athens and Lee University, but they offer a dual enrollment opportunity in this pathway. In particular, they also work with all of these industry. I will stay away from it, but right now I'll show you one functionality, but this might change. Over here on the feature selectors is another filter section. This is probably going to go away and be moved to the top filter to some degree the best we can. But real quickly, just understand this might change. But one thing that it can do is I saw that there was a dual enrollment in there. You can see that this also reacted to going down to Cleveland. But what class is that dual enrollment offered in? So when I pull this down, you can see that I have it in two classes here in Cleveland, and that is anatomy and physiology and intro into anatomy and physiology. So those are ways to really drill down as a parent and a student to understand, you know, if I'm interested, what's offered and what can be done. And I'll pause real quick before I move into industry and see if anybody has a question or a comment that.
Danny, we did have a question, but I've answered it, and it looks like as of right now, you're good to move on.
Okay. All right. So the next scenario I'm going to run through real quick is the industry part. So if I'm an employer and I'm really looking to understand what opportunities I have as far as workforce pipeline, this is going to be a powerful tool as well. So one thing I want to look at as an employer, if I come in, I can drill down to very specific things that I might want to look at. The first place that I would start as an employer partner here is really looking at this career industry cluster to try to narrow it down. So when you click on it, you can see all of the industry clusters that we offer, that we have captured, I should say, through our application process. This is not an exhaustive list. None of them are, because this is all data that has been reported through the Pathways application. There are quite a few across the state that we didn't capture. So if the district or county didn't participate, then obviously we didn't capture that data. And so this is really just showing what it is that are in these certified pathways filter. So easily I can come through here and I'll just go with advanced manufacturing because it's kind of a popular place. And as soon as I hit advanced manufacturing, you can see all of the advanced manufacturing pathways that we have across the state. But as an employer, I might be wanting to drill down even further. So I would come into the pathway and look at very specifically what I might want to do. In this case, I might be looking for welders and maybe some mechatronics folks that I have some overlay in that. And you can see again that this is drilling it down to those districts that now just have those specific things. But, you know, as an employer, you know, hopefully you have statewide reach, but it's not always the case. So in this case, we're going to be looking at districts that you might know, or even regions here. So I definitely want to look within a particular region. In this case, I'm going to choose Northern Middle. So if I know I have my industry and my reach is in the Northern Middle region, I'll pull it up, and now I have a very concise drill down into the pathways that have mechatronics and welding. Well, in this case, it doesn't have welding because it drilled down to the point where I'm only looking at mechatronics. Districts, you pull it up, you see it's drilled down. It's Rutherford and Williamson County. So I'll click on that. And now this is the district and county I'm interested in. Click on it and you see I'm in mechatronics, and it offers enrollment. They are working with Columbia State Community College, and they're working with these employer partners. And this is an advanced pathway. So as you can see, the map has the ability to go from broad, general, just kind of browsing, all the way down to very specific drill down into what you might be looking for and what might interest you to help you in your decision making. And the final kind of piece that I'll show you that I think is very important is when you do get the information that you need, where do you go from there? You know, information is great, it's great to have, but what if I want to move forward? How do I move forward? Who do I contact? So here's where it's very important to look at those region coordinators that are in the districts on those pop-ups. So if I click on this, I see that Ellen Gomez is the Pathways Regional Coordinator for this area. I can go up to the Regional Coordinator tab at the top, click on it, and I can see this is Northern Middle. And when I click on Northern Middle, I get a contact for Ellen Gomez with her email, as well as a bio, a little bit about who she is, and kind of help out for some of those initial reach out. So you kind of know who you're talking to, but you can click on an email, send them an email and say, hey, I found this, I'm very interested. Who do I need to contact? How do I get into contact with somebody from that county and that school to potentially figure out some things that I might need to create those partnerships. So that was my quick spiel on how this map works and what we feel is the power of the map and what it can do to really help us as a state and as stakeholders in this education system that we're working in, create richer, deeper relationships in a way that we can really help our students and anybody really who has a need for this type of information. So with that, I'll turn this back over to Sydney to kind of open up the networking part session where we might have some scenarios from you guys that you might want me to run through and see if we can break this thing.
As you are thinking about questions and typing them into chat or raising your hand, I do want to give a little bit of insight into how we have really thought through this and what we're anticipating this map to do for us in the future. We have pulled in other state agency partners like Tennessee ECD and labor and workforce development and some other folks to take a look at this map, give us some insight, give us some ideas for the future. And so this has helped us understand not only the power of the data that can be found through the Tennessee Pathways application process, but also how to find that data. And so we didn't show the industry certification tab just yet. That may be something that one of you guys asks about. But industry certifications are probably one of the most asked about components of programs of study of pathways from industry partners and from folks like labor and ECD. And the way that we captured that data through this past Tennessee Pathways application process was not as specific. And a lot of industry certifications we have found after going through this data tend to be wrapped up inside of another EPSO of sorts. And we've noticed that a lot are included in something like a local dual credit, or they're just simply, they weren't reported. And so this year we will be asking more specific questions to the districts who are participating and really listing out in our data sources, like this is a specific industry certification, this is how it serves the students. And we also want to track or attempt to attract the number of students that are participating in Tennessee pathways across the state. That way our employers have an idea of potential employment streams in the regions, and where they're coming from, what type of post-secondary credentials they are receiving in conjunction with our pathways. And so I say all of that to say that there is a wide swath of potential with this map. We're still playing around with it and imagining ways that we can use this in the future. And so if you have suggestions, email us. We are more than willing to entertain ideas on future data.
Thank you, Pam, and thank you, Danny. We did just get a question, and it's about participation in the Pathways program itself. And I will put a link in the chat so that you can read all about that, see last year's results, as well as anything for this cycle. And I want to encourage anyone, if you want to see a certain functionality of the map, or if you have any questions for Danny, to please put that in the chat or raise your hand right now. And then, Danny, I wanted to catch you up. We have someone involved with reentry and adult education, and they're really excited about using this tool because they see Pathways as a way to, as a model to fit into multiple avenues of education. I thought that was a really cool application for this. And we did also get a question about, why Pathways that were not certified, where that information is located. And I think it's important for us to note that we really wanted to focus on what is happening within the state, and then talk to districts and help fill in gaps where we can. We don't want to highlight things that, we're working on adjusting. So would you agree with that, Danny?
I would agree with that. And I also would say that, again, contact with your regional pathway coordinators will be very important in that regard, because that's where you can find a lot of that information. Is one of the things, I'm not sure if it was on this particular slide, but across the state, we did have 901 employer partners reported. We have all of that data, so if you want to get in contact with your coordinator, they could easily pull in some of that information for you in that regard, to get very specific to what you might be looking for.
I'll try to cover a little bit of that because Danny, I think you cut out just a tad, not majorly, but Danny did say that we had, through this data, we found that we had 901 employer partners participate in all pathways across the state. All this information that is on this map is also housed within the brains of our regional coordinators. They are true experts of their regions. As Danny pointed on that part of the map, you can see what counties they cover. And to allude to the participation question, Sydney provided a link to our website in chat. But the best way to learn how to participate is to talk to your regional coordinator. There is an application process, and we take a look at your programs of study and how they fit into the Pathways model. We look at 5 different components of that pathway, looking at its connection to labor market, its partnerships with post-secondary and industry, what kind of courses and EPSO opportunities are offered, and then what type of advisement or counseling is provided in conjunction with the pathway. It is then put through a review process, and we score and release the certifications based off of a composite score. And this year, as we know, the world is a little bit weird right now with COVID-19. Our Pathways application, for those who don't know, we've only been able to have the application open in the spring once. It was open in February, and it was set to be open through April 15th this year. Because of everything that was happening, we have decided to move it to an opening. It's now open, currently open, but it will be open through October for districts to apply. And our regional coordinators are don't want to say on the ground working, because we're still trying to figure out how we can operate and help in a virtual setting. They're itching to get back on the ground, but they are there to help districts through that process this year. And we can still take questions on the map. Danny just pulled up the contact information, so you guys can reach out to myself and Danny if you have more specific questions about the map. And thank you, Sydney. She has provided a few more bits and pieces of information in the chat.
Yeah, sorry guys for the chat fatigue. It's every time I hit enter, I'm like, oh, I should also share this. So, so bear with me. I think I should finish my coffee. So, but please, does anyone have any examples on the map that they would like to see, or any further questions for Danny? Like I said, he's our data guru. So if you have any thoughts or potential applications for this, now's the time.
I didn't see, just to get this out here, code or keyword.
I see a question from Vicky in the chat. If you guys submitted an intent to apply in the spring, you don't need to resubmit. We have it. You're good to go.
Danny, you were cutting out just a hair. If you'll repeat that.
Sorry about that. I was just saying, if we have the keyword and password, if we go ahead and type that in for.
Sorry,
The word is hamburger.
on that. I completely failed. Let me get over to my other monitor if my mouse will find it.
I'm typing it in the chat too for you.
Thank you.
I'm pretty sure it's hamburger, unless I just made that up. I thought I saw
It
it.
is hamburger.
Okay.
And I think we need to do the session ID too, I think.
Okay.
And I will put that in chat as well.
Well, if we don't have any other questions, like Pam said, she's going to add in the session ID. And, thank you guys again for joining us this morning. We know it's Friday morning and it's the last day of a conference, and we couldn't thank you enough for participating. And again, shout out to Danny for putting all this together for us.
Yeah, and I'd like to say thank you to everyone too. I hope your weekend is great. Again, we really are excited about this, and the whole idea of data sharing anytime is to really get a good capture, improve, and get better. So if you have questions, comments, feel free to reach out to any of us anytime. Any Pathways regional coordinator, that matter, or just us, and get this information and give your feedback so we can kind of grow and be better, and better serve the state and the districts. Again, I'd like to say thank you to everyone. Thank you, Pam and Sydney, and appreciate your time this morning.
Hold on, Dave. You got a few more questions. Michael, I clicked on the survey and it took me to it. So maybe try refreshing your session before we end. Sorry about that. And then Daniel, the map is going to go live. We're estimating mid-August. We will probably announce that in some form of like CCTE update. And if not, we'll have our regional coordinators do a shout out to as many different partners as possible. So if you haven't heard anything, please go to that website we shared, and hopefully we'll be able to reach you. And then Corey, we hope that Pam's cats do not attack her while she is not looking. So
I tried to keep them out of this room. It's better to not do that.
I had to go to a different house so that I wouldn't have dogs barking and trying to sit in my lap during this session. So I think the struggle's real for all of us right now. I think I've covered everything. I'm just making sure I didn't miss anything. But again, keywords hamburger, and then Pam put the session ID in the chat. It's JNNQZ. So if anyone has any other questions, we'll stay on for a few minutes just to make sure.
And thank you, everybody. This has been a very supportive chat, and so we really appreciate it. We're excited to publish this mid-August really excited to have this be a living tool for everyone to use. The session code, let me see if I can't put it in there again. Putting it in just so you guys can see it at the bottom of the chat one more time. And hamburger is the code name. I am assuming we need both. I heard somewhere that both the code and the name are needed. So you have both of those just in case. And like Sydney said, we'll stay on if you guys have questions. If you don't, that's okay too. If you don't have questions, we have concluded the presentation, so you can leave if you want to. But yeah, let us know if you have questions.
Hey, Danny, what's behind you while we're waiting on more questions or just hanging out?
Just remember, it's being recorded.
Okay, so if it's anything inappropriate, just blink twice.
Map.
Oh, you cut out. It's a
It's a
map.
map. Go figure. It's a map.
Oh,
Told you
what
I'm
kind of map?
special. I mean,
Still couldn't hear you.
that I'm spatially challenged, so I got maps everywhere.
Well, I like it. It's a cool background. Good pick. So, all right, guys, it looks like we're just getting thank yous now.
Okay, well, we can end it. It's 9:12.
I think we're good. They know how to get a hold of us. So,
All right.
all
Awesome.
right, bye, team.
Bye.